think it's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you're a natural.
Oh, thank you.
After being coached by me.
Yes. Naturally, you taught me everything.
Unlike some people. Yes.
Oh gosh.
Oh no, like it's just I figure it's probably just because most people are not used to speaking into microphones that are in their face.
Yeah.
So, like they might be like, "Yeah, right," or "You kidding me, right?"
Right.
You know. I don't know. It's I mean, I guess when you think about it, it is kind of unnatural.
Yeah.
You know, speaking into a microphone regularly.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's kind of like how, you know, if you have a camera around and you're shooting something, there's this huge machine pointing towards my face.
Yeah.
I can't help but not look at it.
Right, exactly. And they stare right down the middle.
Yeah. But wait, do you speak into microphones often?
No, not really. I did with my friend. We had like a little podcast going, like reviewing movies, like stuff along that lines, and trying to like make like funny segments and stuff. But I never.
You were basically like mystery science theatering.
Yes.
Movies.
Yes.
That came out
to a degree. Like we would talk about it. We would predict, I guess, but in like joking ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then when we would get back from the premiere of the movie, usually we would like come up with funny plot lines that never actually happened and like just completely make stuff up about the movie. I don't know.
Like, yo, what if they got abducted by aliens?
Right. Or like talking about Avengers, like we talked about a completely made up storyline of like Black Widow, or that just completely never happened, and we're just sitting there like staring at each other like we're the biggest idiots in the world.
Yo, what if Pepper Potts died?
Right. So it's just stupid, silly stuff. Like
what if she said no to Tony's marriage proposal?
Right, and then the movie just ends. It was weird how there was just 3 hours of just nothing, just watching Tony Stark be sad in his go through divorce. I don't know.
It becomes a drama about Tony Stark just like sitting in his big ass mansion,
right,
drinking all the whiskey,
just unsure what to do with his life.
And Jarvis is like, forget about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there women out there?
there's other fish in the sea.
What do you know, Jarvis?
Tony,
you're just a bunch of code. You're not even real.
Yeah, just a lot of stupid stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever? I think you told me before that you never actually like released it.
Right.
That podcast you tried to do with your friend.
Right. It's not that we didn't like necessarily want to release it. A lot of it is like we were doing a lot of it just for fun. Like it was a way for us to get together and like try out something creative, try out something new, on a platform that we really hadn't like explored before. And it was also this kind of thing where we did this anyway. Like we would get together and just joke around, and so like putting a mic in front of us kind of. So
it was just like you just decided you already like got together and like just talk about movies like that in that way, and then you just got the idea. Hey, what if we recorded us doing this?
Yeah, that was kind of like the thought behind it was. Well, it's already like content in itself, except just between us two. Mm-hmm. So why not just save it? And I guess the thought behind publishing, like I'm only speaking for myself, I guess, don't have necessarily the time to commit to doing this like on a weekly basis or.
Well, neither do I. But.
Right, but you do.
I think we both know how, to some degree, how busy we are.
Yeah.
Perhaps. How many credits are you taking right now?
Now, I'm only taking 15 this semester.
Okay.
Last semester I was at 17, it's almost full.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm taking 20 credits.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
20 credits. It's like real kind of like advanced English courses.
Yeah.
Some like film courses which can go long because they're like either because it's a film studies class and you watch a movie during the one time a week it meets, or it's a production class. And then I have like guitar classes I'm taking to fill out my music minor. Mm-hmm. but also like I don't live here. So there's a good chunk of time during my week that's spent driving here.
Yeah.
Plus this podcast I'm trying to do.
Right.
Am I trying to kill myself?
It kind of sounds like you're pushing it, but no, I think a lot of it for me at least, like only speaking from personal experience, like trying to balance between overbooking yourself, or am I not filling up this time because I really need the rest, or I really need to do something else here, or am I not filling it up because I want to be lazy and
or
not,
just go easy on yourself.
Right, exactly.
Give yourself a break.
Right, exactly. And trying to find that time, because, and maybe lazy is not the right word, but I mean like I need to make sure that I'm giving myself free time for the right reasons, or I'm giving myself free time so that I'm actually completing something. Like thinking logically, like resting is completing something in the sense like I'm gathering my mental or physical so that I can prepare for something else. You know what I mean? On the most basic level. But I think now just trying to balance between, like, I've got so much stuff going on, but I enjoy that. Like, I enjoy being a little overbooked. I don't know. I think it's a good thing to be busy, and that's why I'm trying to, like, I have student government.
Yeah. You're a part of the executive board now.
Right. Which is just, it's a huge difference in like the workload from last year already.
Yeah.
Like this time last year, I hadn't even started student government. So just, it's right now I'm in like a pretty big transitional period.
Yeah.
And trying to make sure that I'm not overbooking myself, but also not going the other way and saying no to everything because I think I'm too busy, and then I'm going to sit around and do nothing at home.
And not be on a podcast?
Right, and not be on a podcast. Yeah, this is one of those things where I was very excited to say yes for, because like I had the time. It's something that I enjoy to do. You're a very good conversationalist, so it's like it's something.
Well, I like to think so.
Yeah, no, you are, and it was just one of those opportunities that pops up, and you're like, yeah, I'd love to, and I have the time, so why not?
Yeah.
I ranted there. I ranted there for a little. I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It's just I don't know, it's this thing where like you schedule these times to like podcast people, and then, or at least I mean I schedule these times to podcast people. And, it's just however many days out it is.
Right.
And then you wake up on the day, it's like I feel a little, well, like sometimes I doubt myself in terms of, like, say my voice is just not there that day.
Sure.
I'm like, but it's like you already went through the trouble of scheduling.
Yeah.
To like have this person sit down with you for an hour with a microphone in their face.
Right.
It's like, well, you can't, it's not like you want to reschedule it.
Right. That makes sense.
And just like my head's kind of not there today. Like, my contacts are bothering me. That's giving me a headache. I think I'm dehydrated, and it's just been a long day. I've been here since like 7:30.
Jeez.
So.
And now you're stuck here with me. And that's just the icing on the freaking cake. I'm sorry. No.
Icing on a cake, as in I was really looking forward to this. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking forward to doing this. I wasn't looking forward to like this. Having a headache while doing this, because I really do not, I wouldn't have wanted to be feeling a little bit
under the weather
during this, but it's something we both took time out of our days to sit down with each other, and I don't want to disappoint you or myself in not committing to this.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I completely understand that. I think, and I want you to know, I'll preface this, like anytime, if anything like that comes up, always be willing to speak your mind, say, hey, I'm not feeling it today. Can we reschedule? Like I wouldn't mind that ever.
I mean, like if it were, say, hey, I fell down 3 flights of stairs. I definitely can't do it at this moment.
Yeah.
Or something like
sure.
that. I mean, like if it were in a case of something like that, then sure, we definitely would have to reschedule so I could be awake. But then, I feel like I have this like little piece of guilt hiding in the back of my mind, thinking like Well, why would you? Just because you have a headache, come on, why would you want to even think about rescheduling or something like that? Mm-hmm. But,
No, I understand that completely. And it's also this thing where when you're here or when you're, committing to any event, you want to give 100% of yourself.
Yeah.
And so, like, you show up with a headache, and this is like a project that you're excited for clearly and want to keep producing. You want to maximize and give your best performance, that's what it is, or give your best effort at the least. And when these things pop up and maybe you doubt yourself or you're just not feeling great or whatever the circumstances may be, those are things that might limit you from giving 100% effort.
Yeah. Like I can think of more than maybe a couple where I really was not there the whole time. Mm-hmm. I wasn't feeling 100% that day or that afternoon.
Yeah.
And, it's just, I could feel, I guess I was conscious enough that I could feel the energy of the conversation slipping.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And then it was just, I'm already in this. I'm not going to stop it now. I just have to commit and finish this recording. Mm-hmm. And then I can decide later if I feel proud enough about the energy between myself and the guest mm-hmm. that it makes for a good conversation, a good episode to release.
Right. That makes sense. So I guess my question is, how much thought goes into, for you, like, what are you going to put out? What are you going to maybe talk about? Or are there so many different factors within producing this podcast that like goes on that maybe I have no idea about? Because, you reached out to me and you were like, do you want to be on it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I just picked a time that we were both free. That's all the work I did on my end.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of now realizing there's like probably a lot more work that goes into it.
Yeah, because on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I happen to be podcasting, mm-hmm. what happens is, so I have my backpack that I wear on my back, mm-hmm. and I have my computer bag, and then my lunch that I usually carry around my neck. And then if on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have guitar classes.
Right.
So I have to bring my guitar. So backpack, computer bag, lunchbox, one hand with a guitar. If I happen to be podcasting, I carry my very heavy bag full of my podcasting gear,
right,
and carry that in the other hand. Right. I have no hands free.
And you're working out, lifting, you're doing squats the whole
yeah, and going for a light walk,
right, exactly,
all around campus,
right,
going between buildings for my classes.
Jeez.
So if there's a door that's not handicap accessible, and like, okay,
oh God,
do I wait for someone to walk by who happens to be going to the building I'm in and have them hold the door open for me? Or do I do the thing where I like put one bag down,
right,
grab the door handle, open it,
throw it open,
prop it open with my foot,
right,
and then grab my bag again and go through?
Right.
Yeah.
There's really no correct option either way. You're going to be that awkward person standing in front of the door.
In fact, the other day, I think it was last Thursday, mm-hmm. I was planning to podcast someone later, mm-hmm. and it was raining like hell. And so it was literally like me contemplating, trying to figure out the logistics of like, I want to be able to hold my umbrella. But so if this was normal, like it wasn't raining, mm-hmm. I would just carry all my things, no hands free, with a guitar and my podcast gear in hand.
Yeah.
Plus everything else that's on my body.
Right.
But I was like, it's fucking raining hard. So I'm like, it was literally me having to decide, trying to figure out, it's raining, mm-hmm. and it's not hot, but it's not hot.
Right.
Which means I can leave some things in my car and they will not melt.
Right.
Just because this particular day is not that hot.
There's so much that you have to think about.
So I'm like, I will leave my very expensive classical guitar that I paid a lot of money for in my car, and my podcast gear in the car, so I can carry my backpack, computer bag, lunchbox,
jeez,
plus an umbrella to
mm-hmm.
my class. And then hopefully, in the 2.5 hours I'll be gone, they will not have been corrupted by
right.
the temperature of the day.
Jeez. There's so much that you have to think about.
Yeah.
That's awful. I'm so sorry.
I liked it better when I was podcasting at my house.
You didn't have to deal with me either. So
because like if people are coming over to my house for me to podcast them, it's like I have all the time in the world to set up the thing.
Right, and then you have everything that you need there.
Yeah. In fact, usually what I would do is like the night before, I would set up the thing in this dining room table in my basement. You know, just put down the blanket, set up the mics and the recorder, even have it plugged in but not turned on yet.
Right.
I would even put out bottles of water on either side of the table for myself and the guest the night before.
Prepare everything ahead of time, yeah.
And the only thing I have to worry about is like them showing up and me like eating lunch before they show up.
Right. Nothing else. Well, I mean, you brought donuts for us today, yeah. So that was
a surprise because my teacher in my have an animation class right before this.
Yep.
That he just brought in donuts for the class, and of course, everyone who wanted one took one.
Right.
And there was like 4 or so left over by the end of class, and I'm like, "Can I have them?" He's like, "Totally." He's a real thin guy. He probably doesn't eat donuts.
Sure. And you walked in, and I was like, "Oh, you bought donuts? That's so nice of you." No, complete lie. You should have just went with it. I would have been like, Benson's literally the nicest guy I've ever met. He just bought.
I mean,
donuts.
I've done the thing where like I brought donuts to a function.
Right.
Where at my community college, I took some photography classes, and one of the times when the studio would be open for us to work in a dark room, like an open studio kind of thing, come and go as you please.
Sure. Yeah.
To work on stuff. It was like Fridays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Okay. And I would, it was almost like a understood thing that we would kind of get we loved doing photography in that class. So we would just love working in the darkroom. And so a lot of us became friends and just like, it was kind of understood like, yeah, well, this is a time we get together as friends and classmates to do work in the darkroom.
Yeah.
And so I would bring donuts to those Friday mornings and just be like, hey guys,
and
some donuts.
And that's how you get people to love you. You buy them donuts. Yeah, that's how you make
Or
friends.
I flatter them by asking them to be on a podcast.
Right.
Because apparently because that presumes I think they're interesting enough to have a conversation and record it.
Oh, stop. Oh, stop. You're buttering me up. No, yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I hope that I'm interesting enough. I don't know if I've proven that exactly yet, but that's okay, Well,
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see, I guess. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, how have you been?
I've been all right. Like I said, just transitioning to school from summer.
Yeah.
I mean, summer, all I did was work and go home. Like, that's kind of it. I mean, like, obviously, little day things, but for the most part, not much. And then right into school, I did Red Cap, which is freshman orientation here at UHart. And so I was a freshman orientation leader, and then that transitioned right into student government, and I have a new role on eBoard as the secretary, and that's like, it's not necessarily the most like pristine position, but at the same time, like, I'm pretty proud to be in this position and to be like working in the organization and working with a lot of great people. And then beyond that, I'm taking some pretty interesting classes. Like I said, 5 credits or 15 credits, 5 classes. And then I'm working, trying out a bunch of other stuff. So I don't know. It's just like a lot on my schedule at once, and transitioning into it is really interesting because it's not really like I've fallen behind, but it kind of feels mentally like I've fallen behind.
Right.
Like I've gotten into this, like, I'm not quite in the groove yet, but I'm also like, I don't know how to explain it. Like my thoughts are not always clear, which I'm not quite used to, because over the summer, I kind of had like I had time to think or not think if I didn't want to. Like
the stuff around you is moving so quickly. It's almost like you don't have time to think.
Right. It's just due.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that now a little, as you can tell by the schedule I just told you about.
Right.
During my summer, I started doing this podcast. I was so committed to wanting to put my time to this that I didn't even get a job during the summer. Even though I would have, I would have wanted to.
Ideally, yeah.
But I wanted to be able to like have open availability to like podcast anyone during any time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was able to get like a dozen done.
Oh, wow.
Before school even started.
That's awesome.
So
that's really cool. And I guess that's the benefit of having free time, or at the very least, like setting your priorities. Like, this is how much time I want to devote to this new project or this event in my life. And it's something that I still need to work on, is setting priorities, because, I want to do everything, or, you know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds drastic, but like, I want to do everything, but you got to pick and choose. Like, this is what I want to focus on. So I'm going to devote 5 hours a day to this.
I've had to do the same thing because, in a way, I do want to kind of do everything. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this, but I have 2 majors.
Yep.
Part of one of those majors is an education certification to teach English.
Yeah.
And then I have my music minor, and then like this podcast I'm doing. Right. I want to keep doing.
Right.
For the foreseeable future. On the first day of school, I even wanted to. I came in, got a packet to run for a position in the student government.
Yeah.
Susan, the office coordinator here, was like asking me like, "Oh, how many credits you taking? What else are you doing?" He's like, she was shocked by the amount of stuff I was doing. He's like, "And you still want to run?"
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, and I can tell you're such a driven person who wants to do so many things. But going back to it's a balance that you got to keep. But I mean, I encourage you to run, because getting to know you last year, hanging out with you in the SG office was a pretty cool experience. Always playing your guitar is pretty awesome. So I like having you around. So I encourage that, but obviously make that decision for yourself.
Yeah, I had to compromise it because I told you like last week or something.
Right.
There was this one of my guitar classes that was getting in the way of it, because on paper, the scheduled meeting time is Thursdays, 12 to 1.
Right.
But for some reason, the instructor is like just not here on Thursdays. It's like there's a whole back and forth with like emails and calling each other, plus the one other student that's in the class, only 2 students, myself, this other person, and then there's an instructor. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find a place where we all intersect, where we have time to meet for this class. And it would have been time we decided on is 12:30 on Tuesdays, which is when student government has its Senate meetings.
Right.
So I was like, I really do want to take this guitar class, but it looks like the only time we will be able to meet is during the time that we refer to as happy hour, when, or at least most classes are not scheduled. Now, students have time to do other things like extracurriculars or being in student government.
Yeah.
I was like, I really do want to take this guitar class. And so I guess I'll have to forfeit a drop out of the race to be a member of student government. Yeah.
And it's a tough call, but I commend you for, like I said before, just putting those priorities straight. I don't know if it's definitely not easy. Yeah, I mean, setting priorities and making like tough decisions where you have to say no to things that you normally wouldn't want to. But I guess the good thing is you met so many people last year, I assume, through student government, or had that experience that now you feel like you can have other experiences, like, or more things like this guitar class that maybe you have to prioritize whether you want to or not.
Yeah,
I struggle with that. Like I said, every day. It's tough.
What kind of classes are you taking?
So I'm an economics major.
Right.
Right now I'm taking a few econ classes, an environmental studies class, and then a complexity class, which is part of my minor.
A minor in complexity?
Yes. Complexity is pretty complex.
You don't say.
Yeah.
You were explaining to me this earlier today about how complexity is, what is it? It's just like an examination of scenarios, systems, situations.
Yep.
Where you just have, it does have like real world applications where you have to be account for the amount of variables that exist in any system.
Right.
Plus the fact that those variables are variable in themselves. They may or may not even exist during like a single point in time.
Right. It's kind of this crazy concept of so we're so used to treating everything as if it's like you can reduce it to its simplest term. It's kind of how we learn, how we've always learned science, like the scientific method or
any kind of like math.
Right.
Like there's one answer, there's one way to get to it.
Right, exactly. And just kind of having I'll relate it back to economics, like always wanting to predict. So using like supply and demand as an example of like these things will always meet in the middle and this will cause this to happen. And so if AX plus BX will always equal CX or something along those lines where it's like if these things hold constant, which we assume they do, then this will happen. But what complexity tells us is those things won't always be constant in the real world. So we shouldn't treat them as that, which means things like emergent factors in this complex system, as well as chaos, they appear, and it's not so much that the science like what people try and say is, oh, so that way we can, if we know these things exist, we can predict them. Then complexity,
sort of,
it's not true. Like you sort of can, because now you're better prepared for them because you know that emergent factors and chaos exist within the system, but it's not so much predicting as it is understanding more.
It's more like it's not when you're applying complexity.
Right.
It's like you're not predicting it, but you're predicting the likelihood of it and what can get in the way.
Right. A lot of it has to do with probability, and even more so like a non-linear effect of like if this one thing occurs within the system, it's not going to just have a 1-to-1 ratio cause and effect to something else in the system. Everything's connected. So like a small thing in the economy could actually lead to a bigger issue or a bigger reward because it is a complex system. So things emerge, things pop up that in the reductionist way that we're taught, those things don't occur. Like it's completely linear. That's easier for us to understand, but it's not necessarily how the real world works. Now, it's not completely dismissing reductionist methods of learning or understanding things, because you can apply that to a lot of things. And I think math is a good example where it's good to try and reduce things to its simplest terms to understand them better and solve problems. But when we're trying to predict social networks or the economy or...
Trying to predict the production and release of a movie called The Social Network?
Exactly. Sorry, I almost said Mark Zuckerberg.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes. Yeah, just like...
Can we predict a remake of The Social Network?
I think we can, considering they remake literally every movie.
Yeah.
I think we're bound to. You just wait a few years. Yeah, it's just... It's things that aren't really predictable, but we can understand them better, or at least try to, using that approach.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but...
You're wrong. No, sorry.
Okay.
Continue.
I was asking for it. But the way you're thinking about complexity here is more like, again, you're, as an economics major, you are trying to apply it through an economics lens. Right. The way I was thinking about it was more like trying to think of, like, take a step back and look at the big picture and think about the thing complexly. Like if it's like asking someone to do this at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, you can't. It's easy to say, "Hey, I'll be there," but you have to take into account, like, hey, maybe they're a person who's really busy. They happen to be at a place like across the other side of town, right before they have to be at this place, and then like you have to take into account like traffic, or like maybe like lots of variables, like, oh, they just dropped their keys and they slid down a drain pipe, or like
that's a little drastic, but yeah.
they encounter there's a car accident on one of the main roads that they had to take to get to this place.
Yeah.
Do you think is that another way to use complexity to look at certain situations?
So I think the way that you're describing it can definitely be applied in the sense that a lot of things you listed are emergent factors that that appear. And so you can kind of see it in everything like that. Like, I was going to say, when you're scheduling something, like we always say in complexity, like you have to take into account the context of the situation always, because if you treat everything as if it's in a vacuum or there's no outside world affecting it, it
ceases to be complex.
Right, exactly. It's no longer a complex system. It's just a completely linear one. So like if you ask me, or you say, hey, I'm free at this time, let's podcast, I'm not just going to be like immediately yes. Like I have to consider everything else, all the other contexts within my life, within your life. It's not that simple as maybe we want it to be. Yeah,
and then there's like the like if you're someone who's really busy and you have to like figure out all the logistics into like just completing like one particular task on a particular day, there's so much like mental gymnastics in terms of figuring out the logistics of like, hey, like if it's a family, they only has one car. It's like, well, we have to drop the child off at daycare, and then this other child off at soccer practice. Yeah. But then you have to be at work at this time, and then I have to be over here. So I think we'll drop off in this particular order, like this kid, you, and then myself, and then this other kid. I don't know how
we have a third child now. Okay,
a third child that drives itself to its function,
like a little mini tyke, like.
No, but yeah, like it's if there's lots of stuff going on, like the more people who are involved in this scenario, there are like there's a whole nother plethora of circumstances, variables, and things you have to consider in order to make like just dropping people off where they should be to work.
Right, exactly. And there's so many things in the outside world, and traffic is such a great example because traffic is one of those things that I think about. I'm like, how does traffic exist? Like that's so stupid.
Traffic exists because of assholes.
Yes, exactly. People that don't know how to freaking drive. But I think it's one of those things that appears that is completely out of our control to the most extent, and it's like, how do you plan or prepare for that?
Yeah.
Because it's not like you can always in every situation just give yourself more time. You can just create more time in the day. So I don't know. Complexity is one of those things that frustrates the hell out of me, but also is so interesting and so unnerving and relieving at the same time. It's such a weird science.
It's like you're glad you're learning it because it is something that's very applicable
to everything. Yeah.
But it's also like once you see, you peel back layers and see like what's working behind the scenes of like life.
Right.
It scares you. Like there's so much stuff to look at.
And it's all unknown.
it can all be unknown, and it's all very frightening.
Right.
The logistics of like time is like the best way for me to relate to it. It's like there are more than enough times of me. I walk out my front door carrying all my shit, about to put it in the car, so I can leave and to like go to school. But then it's like, oh shit, I forgot my keys.
Yep.
And I have like 2 front doors are locked.
Yep. I do that every day.
And I'm like, okay, I have to spend, like, say if I plan to leave out like right at 8 o'clock, it's 7:55. Walk out of my front door, lock my doors, walk to my car. Shit, I don't have my keys. It's like, okay, so I have to spend like 30 seconds taking off all my shit, putting it on the hood of my car, and then walking around my house to find the spare key we have, unlocking my doors, going to put the spare key back where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Walking around again to go through my front doors, going into my house, going into my room, grabbing my keys, putting my carabiner on my belt loop, then walking all the way back out of my house, locking the doors behind me, and then getting to my car, unlocking it, and then putting all my shit in my car, and then finally getting to the driver's seat and like turning my car on. But by then it's like 8:02. I'm like, I'm 7 minutes behind where I should have been because I forgot my fucking keys.
Life is so stupid. So just the littlest things can take so much time and effort, like forgetting your key. Like, I don't know. It's so, I mean, I don't mean that in the nihilistic life sucks, we're all gonna die, but I mean like it's funny, you know. It's funny how silly.
Like I could have been out and about, like getting to the school, to the university on time in a timely manner, if I had just taken a second to make sure
that you had everything,
including like the keys to my car,
to your car. Yep. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I do I do this thing with my roommate where like when I get up in the morning, like I kind of run through every single no, I mean not in like a weird way, but like we run through with each other every day, like what we're doing that day. Part of it is so that we're kind of on the same page, because it's like,
but also like you're trying to keep each other accountable,
right? Exactly. And we've talked about this before.
Is it the kind of thing where it's like you're quizzing each other on what you
right.
have to do that day,
right?
To make sure both of you have someone who's looking after, to making sure you take care of your affairs.
Yeah, our responsibilities, because it's like me and my roommate are in completely different schedules. We lead completely different lives. I mean, we're very similar personalities, but we do like nothing similar school wise. And so while we're here, like obviously I do want to know what he's up to, how he's doing, stuff like that. But a lot of it is, well, I want to make sure that, you know, he's making the most out of everything here. We're paying a lot of money to go here, and I want him to hold me accountable. So like if I'm scheduling too much time and I'm not doing my part around the apartment, or you know what I mean, or like going out buying stuff for us or cleaning up my room or stuff like that. Not that he's not the type of guy who's going to call me out, but I want him to hold me accountable and be like, and him say, hey Nate, you didn't do this today and you said you were going to, what happened with that? And like a lot of times, and he's not calling me out, but it's more like, you good? Like checking in on me. Like,
it's like, is there some, like, did something happen to like get your doing the dishes? It kept out on your mind,
right? Exactly. Like, or did you have a podcast that you were asked to be on? Oh crap! I have to go do the dishes now. No, but it has less to do with chores and more to do, like, we check in on each other and we try and have that healthy relationship, so that like it doesn't seem like I'm not ignoring him, or, you know, we're both like in a healthy living space where it's not like toxic to each other. Because when you're 10 feet apart from someone for the majority of your time on campus, a lot of times you can have like an unhealthy relationship, whether you see it coming or not. And so just like little things like that. Like I never had a roommate growing up except my little brother for like 2 years. I've always lived in a room by myself. And so adjusting to that, I want to make sure that I have like the easiest adjustment while I'm here, because I'm probably going to have a roommate for a while now, at least, right, until I can afford to live on my own.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah. It's interesting.
So so in the end, it's not him really, it's understood between you two that it's more like, hey, we just want to make sure like we're both good.
Yeah.
So when he does like say things like, hey, you forgot to do the dishes. It's not him doing it in a malicious way. Like,
no,
like,
never,
dude, I'm really pissed that you didn't do the dishes.
Yeah, unless he says it exactly like that.
Unless it's been like a month that you haven't done it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just like, it's an understanding between you two to make sure to hold each other accountable and make sure you're both being your best selves.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he'll say, dude, you're an asshole, I hate you. No, I'm just kidding. And it's healthy, you know? He'll come up and beat the crap out of me.
You was being a straight up asshole yesterday.
He'll just beat the shit out of me in our room. And you know what? It's just what friends do.
Do you ever?
I'm just kidding.
Now I'm just thinking about like if you guys like every month you guys like have a brawl to like get your all your anger out or something like that.
It's funny. We do. I mean, so we're idiots, me and my roommate. We're just stupid morons. But we'll just like It's I promise it's weirder than it sounds. Maybe we'll just like randomly scream at each other and be like, like just get up and just I won't do it here, but just like scream and be like, oh hey, and just like
wait, is it just a scream or is it screaming particular words?
Oh no, it's like a primal like from the soul, like just as loud as you can. I have I'll show you after. I have a video of it of just like me and him. I don't know how this. I think our other roommate took it, but just like randomly. He started like, oh, he's a funny guy. He started like laughing like an evil villain. He's like, and so I started mimicking him, and then we just like get up in each other's face and just start screaming. We're the weirdest people in the world.
That sounds like kind of like a game of chicken, where it's like like the thing where you both kind of fake laugh.
Yep.
But then until one of you breaks and starts real laughing.
Yeah, exactly. It's really similar, except we're just like weird people and scream at each other. Same thing, really. No, yeah, it's actually.
Hey, just want to assert my dominance.
No, yeah, it's so funny, and he'll just say like random shit to me to try and make me laugh, and so I do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's fun times. Yeah. Or he'll just like, okay, this is a weird example, but like either one of us, like we'll be getting ready for bed and he'll just be like, I just shit myself.
What?
And
Wait, what?
No, that's the thing. It's like obviously, or maybe he does. I don't know. Like he didn't actually shit himself, but it gets me to laugh literally every time because it's always in the most random times when he says it, and he says it in this weird voice too.
Or the most inappropriate times,
right? Exactly. Or like I don't know, it's funny because like I'll be in like a really bad mood. I'll get home after podcast. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna keep making that joke. I'll get home after I don't know a long day or something, and then 5 minutes will go by. He'll just say, "I just shit myself," and it makes me laugh literally every time. So he's a good guy. we have a funny relationship, so that's good.
I'm waiting for the day where it's like he says, "I just shit myself,"
and he
then
did.
You start laughing. He's like, "No, I did."
Like, I need you to get toilet paper immediately and some Febreze, please. Open a window for God's sake.
Or like, he'll text you like, "I just shit myself,"
and I'll laugh, and he'll send me a picture.
No, seriously, I'm at this place. Can you bring me like change of underwear?
Yeah,
sure.
Some new pants, please. That's funny.
I wish I had a roommate to do that kind of stuff with.
Oh, you want to move in?
If I can't afford it, so no.
Okay, fair.
Unless like I become an RA or something like that.
True.
Which I don't. What is the likelihood of someone becoming an RA without previously having lived on campus?
I actually don't know. I don't know how much they take into account. I would guess maybe at least a little bit. But if you were able to prove, so I'm not an RA, just to preface, but I'm friends with multiple people who are, and not to name drop as if that's some like brag that I'm friends with RAs, but I think if you just prove that you're like this responsible person who knows the complex or wherever you're living well enough,
okay,
and you can deal with people in these situations, I don't see why it would be a problem. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think you have to live here in order to understand how to live here. That's just my opinion. If that makes any sense. Like,
I suppose.
All right, because it's not necessarily, you're not like teaching people how, as an RA, it's not like teaching people how to live. It's like teaching, or it's like looking after.
Listen up, kids. I want you to, I don't know.
Yeah, like check, hey, did you make your bed? No, it's like nothing like that, but more just like.
Making sure like nothing out of the ordinary is happening.
Right. And it's more dealing with people than dealing with the living space, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
At least that's my interpretation. I could be completely wrong.
It's advising the residents, not the residences.
Right. Not the residence halls.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I've considered becoming an RA in the past. I don't think I have the time or maybe even the capability or like the strengths required. Like I'm a pretty anxious person. So dealing with other people's anxiety 24/7.
Do you mean like non-confrontational? Like you wouldn't want to be in charge of taking people to school because they're not maintaining comportment or their living space.
Following the rules or that's part of it. and also just like as an RA, there's like things like you have to check in on your residents, and if they have like problems that maybe it's not like breaking the rules per se, but
like if they're just not
comfortable living, or like, sorry, I'll let you finish your thought.
Like doing a wellness check.
Yeah.
It looks like the wellness is not in check.
Right, that sort of thing.
Then that's a thing you'd have to like do something about.
Right, and I think there's a lot that goes into the job that I don't know if I am just able to do. And it's not like I'm not able, like I want to have confidence in myself, but it's more just like I don't think I have the time or the mental capacity to do that, if that makes any sense. But the benefits of it are you don't pay to live here. So, that's also true.
Or eat here. I can't afford to eat here.
Yes. And now they don't let you have guest passes anymore.
No?
For swipes, yeah.
Oh, that's
sorry
bullshit.
To break that bomb on you. Yeah, you have to like...
I mean, I only did it once, but...
Right, but now like if I want to...
I mean, I was only swiped in as a guest once.
Right, I see. If I wanted to have you, like I couldn't. They got rid of guest swipes. Sorry to drop that news on you.
Wow.
On your podcast.
Now, not only did they overhaul the meal plans, but now you can't even have guest swipes.
Yeah, and you have to pay to park overnight too. Like
say what?
Yeah, if you, as a commuter, I believe, I think we're signing a petition. If you want to stay overnight, you have to pay $3, I believe. Which is...
I remember back when last year when we went on the student government retreat.
Yep.
As a commuter, I am literally not allowed to park anywhere past like 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to appeal to the public safety office. Like, hey, I just want to be able to... I'm a commuter, and me and a bunch of the rest of the student government is leaving on like a little trip.
Yep.
And I want to be able to park here because I don't.
You
live
have
here.
to, yeah.
And I was able to like. They were allowed. I was able to have them grant me like a little pass to have me stay overnight for just one night.
Right.
And as long as I parked in parking lot E.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, they I mean, that might still be a thing where you can like request special permission, but they got rid of $3. It's now $3 to park overnight. Even for like me.
It's not just, let me see if I understand this right.
Mm-hmm.
As a commuter, if I parked overnight, I would just get ticketed.
Well, you would get ticketed, but you can prevent getting ticketed by saying, so before.
By doing the thing where I contacted public safety about like a particular set of circumstances. Yes,
yeah. So the way I understand it is commuters up until this point, and I could be wrong, I know, or at least me, I park on campus, I'm a resident, I live here. We had like 2 weeks worth of passes where you could register your car to stay overnight, and you got for like however many days up to 2 weeks total, and you could park there for free. So like if I wanted friends to come up, I had like 2 weeks worth where they could stay overnight. That counted as 1 day and it subtracted. And I think commuters had the same thing. And if not, they could just use a resident. If that makes sense, they could ask a resident, hey, could you register my car for me for free? Yeah, no problem. Now they changed it. If anyone wants to have a guest or a commuter stay overnight, then it's $3 per person per night. Or $3 per night.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of money making.
I already pay for parking everywhere else in Hartford.
Yeah. It doesn't apply.
I mean, actually, I already pay for parking here.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. You bought a parking pass, I assume.
Yeah, I did. I bought my parking permit because I do need that if I want to like
exist.
I have a friend of mine who he's a commuter and he never ever buys the parking permits. So he just like parks in C lot because he knows no one gets ticketed down there. Yeah. But then you're like hiking 1.5 miles to get to your building.
Right.
To wherever you're having class.
And he probably stays all day too, that way he doesn't have to walk back.
Yeah. And it's well worth it for me because I mean, I drive a long way, I carry all the shit.
Do you?
And
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Nate has been aware that I carry all the shit. And he's like, man, $75 for a whole year. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's a steal.
Yeah. Yeah.
$75 so I can park like nearest the buildings so I don't have to break my back carrying all the shit I carry.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I mean, commuters, that's the thing. Like you were the commuter. Am I correct? Were you commuter or
last year
transfer?
I was first year transfer senator.
Okay. But you are a commuter and you were last year.
Yeah. I have never lived anywhere where I was going to school.
Gotcha.
Like I went to a community college, which of course you commute to a community college.
Gotcha.
And I've been commuting here.
Yeah. I know at least in student government, we try and make sure that, or it's not necessarily like my responsibility, but we as an organization try to make sure that the commuters are treated fairly. And beyond that, it's like, and I know that sounds so like, well, obviously they should be, but it's like sometimes we want to make sure that commuters are not overlooked anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's like I probably should be a commuter. Like I don't really have the money to live here, but I'm taking out loans so that I can, because it's easier, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I live pretty close by. I'm like half an hour away. Mm-hmm. So I really should just commute. Oh God, I'm rethinking that. No, I'm just kidding. But
Mom, I want to come home.
Yeah. But let me call her, please. I have to go. But yeah, it's one of those things like money or whatever circumstances. Like the bottom line is like sometimes commuter students are overlooked in terms of like now you have to pay apparently to stay overnight or the guest passes are being removed. Right. We want to make sure that any student feels like they're part of the community, and I think student government should be responsible for overseeing that. Yeah,
and I appreciate the amount of consideration past members of student government have taken into account in terms of commuters.
Yeah.
Like when like last year, when I was first year transfer senator, I was also part of a couple of committees. Mm-hmm. One of those was executive committee.
Yeah.
And we would meet Tuesdays at 7:30, which is like way past where my last class would have been.
Right.
And I remember one time it was winter and it was snowing.
Mm-hmm.
I was staying there until the time of the meeting. I'm part of student government. I've committed to this.
Right.
And then Ivana was head of the committee at that time, and she walks in, and I made some passing comment about like I might die on the way home.
Oh God,
because it's snowing like hell. She's like, Benson, go home.
Yeah.
We know you're a commuter. Please go home. We don't want you to die because then you're not on the committee anymore or something.
Right. That's the only reason.
But no, like she wanted to be considerate because she knows like, hey, you're a commuter and we've all talked to you long enough that we know you live like far away.
Yep.
So we would like you to not have to stay that long, right, especially into the night. Into a night where it's snowing pretty hard. You should get home.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, and it kind of has to be like a community where we're kind of like I was talking about with my roommate, like kind of all looking out for each other. In a sense, and that's kind of what we have to work on, not just in student government, but as a whole. I don't know, as a university, as a people,
as a bunch of students attending the same university here.
Right. Yeah, and trying to treat. I'm getting real speechy right now, but trying to treat everyone with respect, trying to realize we all have different contexts. We all have different things going on in our life that are complex maybe. And trying to understand that. And that's all. That's my speech. Thank you. 2020, Nate Carr, please.
Nathan Carr, 2020.
I
don't know why I did that. But.
No, that's okay. What I want you to do is when you start this, introduce me with like the presidential song, like da dun dun dun, like
Hail to the Chief.
Yeah, Hail to the Chief. Yeah, I guess that would be Jaden. Jaden is Chief of Staff now. Oh God, never mind.
No, but the title of Chief is more like
I know
Chief of everything,
right?
So that in the case of like when they play Hail to the Chief, it is in reference to the president.
Right.
But although of course I suppose it wasn't originally written with the president in mind. I think it's just a song that existed to like hail to the chief of our whatever organization we happen to be.
Right.
And they play it for the president.
They should make it the Darth Vader theme song. I think.
For this current administration, it should be
the Vader or like the Thanos, whatever. Does he have a theme?
I think he does.
Yeah, whatever his is.
Yeah.
Or just something. I don't know. Something evil.
Something evil.
Yeah.
Like the Imperial March.
Yeah.
With some kind of mixed with like the Jersey Shore Yeah.
I don't know how that popped in your head, but that's genius. Yeah. Mixed with the Jersey Shore. I think that's appropriate for sure. All right.
That Imperial Shore sound.
Yes. Yeah, the Imperial Shore. Good Lord. Good Lord.
Good Lord. Well,
is that it?
It could be.
It could be.
It could be.
It's your call, really.
I mean, like,
I'm down to talk for hours more.
Well, I mean, you have to go somewhere at like 7, right?
I could cancel plans. I could pull some strings. Priorities. It's about priorities.
I remember there was something I wanted to ask you about.
Shoot.
But I can't remember.
Oh, God. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, I can't, like, the thing is, I can't remember if I've already said it or if I haven't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's on me. I got to bring up everything about my life. I'll start from day one. How much time do we have?
I think it's just about an hour right now. We've been recording, but we could go for a bit longer. I tend to go for like an hour 15, maybe.
Okay.
Even like maybe an hour and a half if the energy dictates that.
Does it?
If the energy warrants that.
Okay.
You know
I'm down. I'm not kidding. I'm down to go as long as necessary.
I think if I remember correctly, I think we're about the same age.
How old are you?
I am currently 23.
I'm not quite 21 yet. So
right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's funny you say that. I literally everywhere I go get told I look older than.
Okay. There was just one moment in passing where I thought you said like you were a bit older, like you were 22 or 23.
Maybe I did. Maybe I did it. Never. I'm not gonna. I won't tell on myself. But yeah, no. I turned 21 in a few weeks, actually.
Okay.
But, yeah, there are definitely. So, when were you a freshman, or when did you first enter community college, if you're 23 now?
I graduated from high school in 2014.
Gotcha. So did you take time off to work?
Not quite.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no.
Okay.
What happened was...
and if you don't want to get into it, that's okay.
No, I can't. I've gotten to deeper shit on the podcast, I think. But during my senior year of high school, I was like really killing myself with like 4 AP classes.
Jeez.
And like really trying to bolster what then was my dream of like becoming an astrophysicist.
Oh yeah. Wow.
As you can see, I'm Asian. And part of being Asian was me thinking like, hey, Asian sciences. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Going to sciences. And, you know, I was killing myself and I just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
To the point, not only that, but I started playing music. And that when all my time, energy, and desire went into that.
Yeah.
And so I very nearly did not graduate from high school.
Wow.
You know, at that point, I didn't want to go to school. That was the last thing I wanted to do.
Sure.
But of course, you know, my parents were like, no, you're going to school. And so I enrolled at the University of Connecticut the following fall as a physics major.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't make it through the first semester. And so I dropped out.
Gotcha.
And then I floundered around for a bit, for like a year and a half, having a job and wondering what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lost my job.
I'm sorry.
And then, you know, that really like put a fire into me to think about what I wanted to do. And being a musician, you would have thought like, hey, you should go to music school, right? You love music so much. But, you know, I started playing my senior year of high school. I just started playing. And I was like playing shitty guitar. So I wasn't learning to like read music. It wouldn't have made sense for me to like go to a music school.
Right.
But it did help me realize that the only things that ever really mattered to me were arts and entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, what's the thing that I could do that's not music that would allow me into that realm? And I figured it was film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I enrolled at my community college at 20 and got a degree in an arts field. That was like their closest thing to filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I transferred here to the University of Hartford at 22 with my associate's degree in hand. It would have really helped if I were, say, enrolled at the Hartford Art School, had all these art classes under my belt. But I wasn't. I wanted to go into a film program, which is housed in the College of Arts and Sciences.
Yeah.
I would have been out like a couple years if I just stayed a film major. But I knew like a degree in film was not doing me many favors.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I could tolerate studying is English. So I thought, I'll double major in English.
Yep.
but a degree in English is also not doing me many favors. So I saw they had their own program to get certified to teach high school English. I was like, okay, I'll do that too.
Yeah.
And then I added a minor in music to finally
bring that interest back.
My
full circle.
My dream of, like, say, studying music in a formal capacity.
Yeah.
You could say I had some gen eds covered in my arts degree program, but not a lot. And so now with all this this overflowing curriculum of like 3.5 majors, it's the way I have it set up. I'm going to be graduating in 2022 when I'm 26 with a bachelor's degree.
Wow. I mean, I literally had no idea about any of that, but I just want to say credit to you, man. That's a grind. I have one major just for reference.
Yeah.
And you are, I mean, I knew when you said, I knew you had multiple, and I knew you said what, 20 credits? How many credits?
I took 20 credits last semester, and I'm taking 20 credits right now.
Yeah, 20. Jeez. Jesus Christ. That's just, I think my favorite part about what you just said is, like, you were unsure about a lot of, I guess, what you wanted to do at a certain point, but here you are, at least to my understanding, studying formally what you love, or what you're interested in
and really overdoing it.
And really, really overdoing it. I mean, just credit to you, because not everyone would have that drive to find that, or maybe people settled far too often with maybe what they don't want to do, or what society or parents or friends tell them they should do. But yeah, sorry to get cheesy, but major credit to you for not settling. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks. And just to relate it back to myself, because everything's about me. No, just kidding.
Well, you are the guest on this podcast.
I am.
On this episode of the podcast.
No, but yeah, I love listening to stuff like that, and it reminds me, I have a completely different, I guess, path. I graduated high school and started college that same calendar year, and I was undecided my entire freshman year because I had no idea what I wanted to do, kind of in the sense, like, it's not that I hated school or anything or didn't like learning.
I never felt like a particular direction called you.
Right, exactly. And I kind of wanted to do everything to an extent. Not in like, oh, I want to do everything and rule the world, but more just like, I simply can't choose. Like, I want to study philosophy. I want to study psychology. I want to study sociology. Like, it was, all these things were like so like interesting or grabbing, or I don't know. But the reason I chose economics, and I almost said settled. I didn't settle. The reason I chose it is I feel like at least in the liberal arts degree, when I graduate from my undergrad, whenever that may be, I'm going to kind of have every door open for me still. Economics, and at least the way that I'm treating it, and with my complexity minor, and I have an environmental studies minor, it's kind of like I can apply it, at least the economics part and complexity, to any science that I want. So whether that means I do want to work in finance, or I want to work in policy, or I want to help out people across the world, or I want to be in a certain sector, I don't know. I just feel like every door for me is still wide open, and I didn't feel that way if I chose something else, because I'm one of those people that I can't quite make a decision ever. I'm always like hesitant, or especially big decisions. I mean, like, hesitant to make that because I don't want to like screw up or disappoint myself or someone else especially. So that's kind of like my driving force behind like why economics. Like, I feel like I can apply it to anywhere still, and I'm not limited once I graduate. And I'm not going to have this degree and be like, I have to do this now. Like, I don't even like it anymore. But it's like I'm driven towards economics because it's such an open door. It's one of those things, like, I genuinely love to learn, or love to, at the very least, experience new things. And so I'm not quite sure after undergraduate if I'm even going to like go into my career right away. Like, I might just continue school for as long as I can afford it, I guess, because the money's still an issue, obviously, but see how far that takes me, and see, maybe just hold off on making a decision for the rest of my life. Maybe I won't ever Have to. I'll just stay in school.
Yeah, I guess you could say my overdoing my curriculum and planning to earn my bachelor's at 26 is me trying to put off making a decision about like becoming an adult. Because, part of it was despite being a transfer admission, the scholarship they gave me was good for 4 years. So I thought, why do when you can overdo? It's like I want to be able to exploit the university's resources and maximize my educational profit. You could say
that's the economics.
You know what I mean?
I relate to that. Yeah,
maximize my educational earnings, my profit.
Yep.
Because any which way you slice it, that diploma is going to be really expensive.
Yeah.
So I figured, why not like get all the words on that piece of paper?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to. There's no doubt about that. My shoulder's cracked. That's definitely something that I'm trying to do also, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to balance. Like I've always wanted to. They have a data analytics major now and a minor as well. I've always wanted to add that on, but now I'm unsure if it's even like possible to, because I graduate next year hypothetically, but I'm at this point where I'm like looking for jobs or internships at the very least online or in person, and every single thing that I see is like, oh, data analytics or computer science, and it's these things that like I don't have under my belt, and so it's like this literal pressure and societal pressure to like always be wanting to do more. So like I said before, complete credit to you for overdoing it, as you say. Yeah. Because I'm not currently.
I mean, like you already said you have 2 minors.
Yep.
And I mean, most people would say you're already overdoing it, but now you're thinking about like a data analytics minor.
Yeah, that would be ideal. What I want to. It's possible, but very improbable that I could do it.
What if I told you I thought about adding a philosophy minor?
Did you actually?
Yeah, I thought about it.
No longer?
I think for now, I'm not going to do it. But I did think about it to the point where I contacted my philosophy professor from last year. I was like, and he was, I think at the time, the only full-time member of the philosophy department.
Yeah.
So can I meet with you and talk over, I'm considering a philosophy minor. And then I walked in, he's like, I looked at all the stuff you have, and you were telling me like all the stuff you're doing. I'm like, are you sure you want to?
he questioned you for sure.
It's like double major, double minor.
He's like, first of all, what's wrong with you? Why are you here? That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up, and I'm not just like making this up. I genuinely thought the same thing. Freshman year, my second semester here, I took a philosophy intro course. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever learned about in my entire life. And I kind of did the same thing. Philosophy was kind of not, it still isn't like a popular major or minor here.
I would say the department is lacking.
Yeah.
Like there are so few people who major in philosophy here at this university that it's almost been snuffed out like in the last couple of years.
Yeah. And so obviously they're trying to drive up the number of people that participate in the program to any degree. And so not like doing them a favor, but I was like, oh, I'm genuinely interested. Like to throw that on as a minor, I'm interested in it. Like I would be taking classes that at least I think I enjoy. So like it wouldn't be a complete negative. And I almost filled out the paperwork, and then I saw like some of the classes like interfered with my econ or my environmental classes. So I just couldn't, or like didn't want to make the time, I guess. Or like, it's not that I didn't want to, it's like it would have
really
required,
had to like make compromises.
Yeah. I had to budget my time really is what it came down to.
Or not compromise, but prioritize.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, philosophy is so interesting. Like it's one of those things, like I would pay to, like without even getting the credit for it, like I would pay to just sit in and like listen and converse.
It's called auditing, Nate.
Whoops.
You pay for it, you don't get no credit.
Yeah, I guess you're right on that end. But yeah, it's something I'm so, I don't know, it's inherently interested in that.
It expands your mind and the way your mind works to think about things in a way that's very different from everything else.
Yeah. And going back to our previous conversation, I think it relates directly to, it's the same field as complexity in the sense like philosophy it is its own subject, obviously, but it's one of those things that you can apply to nearly every other science or social science in a way that like philosophy is quite literally like the way you think about things, about the world, about and it's how you...
The nature of like knowledge.
Right, exactly. And I think complexity is like a very similar thing. I think maybe that's why I enjoy complexity so much, or vice versa, is like that's just how my brain wants to work, is like I want to understand how I think, and I want to not control, but I want to adapt how I think, I guess, is the way I'd look at it. And going off that, I think the school needs more of that, I guess. And so trying to grow both programs is kind of where I think our focus should be.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if, because like it's hard for me to, or it's easy for me to say that and just be like, oh, they should grow this, they should get more people involved. It also has to be like a societal movement to like...
It's easier said than done.
Right. To like appreciate, and it works for like the arts or music or stuff like that too, because a lot of people overlook that and just say, well, that's not going to get me a high paying job. Why would I do that?
Yeah. Well, there's still people doing it.
Right. Exactly.
You know, to the point where we have an entire division of the school called the Hart School dedicated to music, dance, and theater.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm very like appreciative, I guess, that those things are at least they're offered, and people have that opportunity. I just wish it was more. And at the Hart School, we have such a great music and art school, or like dance and all that in the Hart School. Like, you know, maybe that's not the best example, but I know at least nationwide, like not putting that emphasis on like the arts or philosophy or like the way of thinking, when it's like it should be part of our daily lives. Like that's our entertainment. That's the way we think. That, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's the nowadays, like all the public schools are very, or even private, they're placing so much emphasis on like say STEM subjects.
Right.
And then it's like they get to the arts, it's like, well, do you need that?
Yeah. Right.
It's like, right, budget cuts, just get rid of it all.
Yeah.
Like, but sure, people can enjoy like studying math and science, but I would say the arts is, I mean, I'm biased, but
so am I.
I would say the arts are the most important thing we have for ourselves.
Yeah. Looking at our history, at least, or the history of humans, like what has survived more than anything, it's been the cultural impacts of art, of philosophy. Like when you think of ancient Greece or Renaissance Italy, the
things that survived were like the sculptures, the artworks,
architecture,
the architecture, the drama,
right?
Those old Greek plays, the writings, and the philosophers and their works.
Yeah, and it's not to say that these other things. I mean, I'm an economics major, so obviously, like, it's not like business or math or science isn't important. Like, obviously, it is, but it's understanding that you can do both, and you can, the arts and what you learn from the arts, or what you learn from philosophy, or the way that you think when you're creating and contributing to society in that way, it can be applied to the way that we think about science, about math, about it. Like, it can all be the same or similar creative processes in the way that we think. And I think a lot of times that's overlooked or undervalued by people. Yeah,
I would say so.
That's my rant on. Once again, vote Nate Carr 2020, please.
Nathan Carr 2020.
Yeah. So the Darth Vader thing. Should we just repeat?
That will be your walk-on music.
Okay.
For when you like go to a rally.
Yeah.
It'll be the Imperial March.
Dun. I'm down with it.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fun, dude.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think, yeah, we got on for a while. Yeah, you want to, you got to get going soonish.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good ending. I do want to say thank you. Like I'm genuinely, regardless of if you put this up or not, I'm very appreciative. I'll just throw that out there. Very, very.
Man, Nate was so boring. I ain't putting this up.
That's fair. No, that's fair. No, I just want to say, like, regardless, this is a lot of fun. And it's like, I've done it obviously before where I've recorded and not put it up. So once again, completely understand. But thank you. It's a lot of fun. And I like conversing with you and ranting about why I should be voted 2020 as president, I guess. Just rant about everything.
President of the University of Hartford student body. That's what he means, right?
Well, no, it's the world. No, I'm just kidding.
President of the world.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
For taking the time out of your busy day to come on my stupid little podcast.
No, it's not stupid. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.